everybody. Let's get our day started. I'm your host, Richard Burns, and you're at the Solomon Project. And this is where we discover it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. There are so many things going on. Prayers to the families of the victims at a Georgia school yesterday. Terrible. Another school shooting. And the perpetrator was 14 years old. Not was, he still is. He wasn't unalive. 14 years of age. Man, that's tough. That is so tough. We're still going through this. I know that when I was in elementary school, I don't recall ever hearing anybody getting shot when I was going to elementary school. So what changed? What changed? That wasn't happening. So something changed. Do y'all know what changed? I can only speculate as to what changed. That's insane. How many have we had in the past 8 years? Maybe even longer than that. Longer than that, right? Yeah. When was Columbine? Columbine was a while back. Knife attacks, yes. Shootings, no. When I was growing up, yeah. Yeah, not shootings. Not like that. So, prayers, lots of prayers for the families of the victims, because they're really going through it right now. Well, a 30-some-odd page indictment from the Department of Justice. 30-some-odd page indictment from the Department of Justice for two people that were former employees of the former RT, which is I think the Russian Times or something like that, for influencing social media or influencers of different forms of media. Social media primarily. I saw YouTube there. I saw X on the list. And what it was is that these two people that are in the indictment were providing money to influencers so that they can pump Russian talking points. And also, well, primarily talking against the Ukrainian war, if you want to call it that, the Ukrainian war, the Russian invasion. They wanted to influence the American people, primarily people on the right, we're talking Republicans, to go against the Ukrainians. And there were some well-known YouTube influencers in that list of people that got hit off by the Russian government, because that's Russian money, and they're using a third party to try to hide the fact that it's a third part. It's the Russian government that's pumping this money, that's got these influencers pushing Russian talking points. This ain't like the Mueller investigation now. Don't get it confused. The Department of Justice has some very compelling evidence. Now, I'm not saying that those influencers knew what they were getting into. However, and I don't know to what extent this can legally impact them. But there's no doubt if you listen to some of the things that they were saying, it shouldn't be hard for you to tell that these were Russian talking points, big time. Again, I don't know. By the way, we're in Georgia. We're on I-95, exit 6. We're getting back on. We're headed north. Beautiful. Beautiful. I want you to catch this scenery right here. Once again, full disclaimer now. There's no electronic devices being handheld at any point in time. And we are not being distracted at all while we're filming. Now, yeah, I don't know to what degree this is going to impact these people, these influencers that were taking the money. Couldn't really tell you. They are nervous because they're communicating back and forth, communicating to their subscribers, letting them know, apologizing, doing all kinds of stuff. I would imagine that they are nervous. Listen, the Fed has a 98% conviction rate. And if your name is on that, indictment, as a conspirator, as a co-conspirator, as whatever, yeah, you got a reason to be nervous. With a 98% conviction rate, yeah, you got, and I doubt that any of these influencers has access to the type of legal defense that Trump has, for example, which is crazy. All these people who wanted to roll with Trump, who thought that they were going to have that kind of legal defense, they wound up getting convicted. Some of them doing time, some of them losing their licenses. A lot of complaints that Trump didn't look out, didn't pay. I don't know how you feel. I don't know if you did something for someone, you looked out for someone, you went all out for someone, wound up going to the hoosgow for that person, and when you're in court, you look to your left or your right, depending on where you're sitting. You got a public defender instead of a paid lawyer. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that? I'll tell you what, I've known many of people in the hood that they stay loyal. They stay loyal to that person even when that happens. Seeing that serves as a good lesson. At least for me it did. There's no way I was going to engage with anybody and have to be on the losing end of everything. Not happening. You got Elon. I think X was on that list. X was on the list because there were people on X that were pushing Russian propaganda that were probably touched by this social media platform, right? Because that's how they did it. They did it through another social media platform. Russian Times got kicked out by the US, got kicked out by the UK, by Europe, because they were pumping propaganda and influencing elections, which is what they're accused of doing right now. But here, again, it's not like Mueller. Here, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. So there's no denying. You can't fake it this time. You can try and say whatever you want, but this 30+ page indictment, not looking good for these two characters, these two personalities. Not only is it not looking good for them, but like I said, there are other names on that indictment, or persons, because if you read the indictment, they don't address each person by their name. So, I don't know. So X is no longer operating in Brazil. Kicked out by a Brazilian Supreme Court judge. Elon is crying about free speech, and the Brazilian Supreme Court judge is an authoritarian and goes against free speech. Well, the judge made it clear. It's pretty much happening over there in Brazil as it is over here, with people spreading lies, misinformation, all in an effort to influence the elections. And Brazil, which is a sovereign nation, told Elon to kick rocks. We don't want to hear it. We asked you to manage your company, X, to put up some guardrails, make sure people ain't going out influencing everybody through misinformation and lies to try to influence the elections over there. Elon said, I don't care. This is free speech, and I'm going to do what I want. And I'm going to let whoever talk that I want to let. That's key. He's going to let whoever he wants on his platform to talk, because he's talking all this jazz about freedom of speech. But if you criticize Elon a little too much, it doesn't apply to you. You can't speak freely against Elon, criticize him too much, because you get kicked to the curb. Being a hypocrite right there. Not good. And once again, you're in somebody else's house telling them what they can and cannot do. X is not a Brazilian company. Elon is not a Brazilian politician. Who is he to tell Brazil what they can and cannot do? You're in their house. You do what they tell you to do and can't do. Somebody made a comment on some site, and it was an interesting comment. He's being a tough guy with Brazil and the Brazilian judge. How come he ain't being a tough guy with China and free speech? Not a peep about that. Not a peep. He got Tesla out there. He got Tesla out there getting the snot kicked out of him. When Tesla came around, yeah, you know, we were looking for alternatives to fossil fuel consumption because of the carbon, because of the environment, because of climate change. And here comes this company, Tesla, which he didn't create. He was an employee, but he pumped some money into that, kicked a couple of people to the curb, became the #1 dude. Remember, Elon was born into wealth. Okay? So it's not like he was some middle class, broke, innovative individual that designed this electric vehicle and saving the planet. No, none of that. It's none of that. And the things that are going on in Tesla here in the United States are so egregious that he's got tons of lawsuits against him here. He's got the Securities and Exchange Commissions on his ass because of false whatever promises, maybe, in Tesla. He's being sued and being accused of fraud for the self-driving of the Teslas, for a bunch of things associated with Tesla. The one person alone, and by the way, Morgan Stanley is also suing him, but one person alone, his lawsuit against and accusations of fraud against Elon is 130 pages long. 130, that's just one person. 130 pages long. If I'm not mistaken, it's just one person. I know Morgan Stanley's up in there suing him for his inflating share prices, or, well, the Securities and Exchange Commission is definitely on his behind. because he goes on X and he starts making claims about the stock movement and the direction of the movement and all that other stuff that's not allowed. That's market manipulation. That's not allowed. Morgan Stanley, I think, lost tons of money because of X. I don't know. He owes so much money. He owes money to Qatar, the country, the government, Qatar, to the Saudis, to the Russians. He owes tons of money. That guy that's suing Elon describes what's going on with Elon in general, with all his companies, including the solar. He describes this as an Enron event. If y'all don't know about Enron was an energy company that completely collapsed. And at the center of that collapse was an accounting firm, Andersen. They were cooking the books. Do you guys know what cooking the books means? It means they were lying on their accounting, giving people a false impression of how the company was performing. It just so happens that one of the fraud accusations has to do with the accounting for Tesla. It's a long list. It's crazy, absolutely bonkers. So Elon's got his hands full. SpaceX moved out of California, went to Texas. Elon gave California the middle finger. Ha ha ha. And now he's being sued in Texas for what's going on with their new location with SpaceX. I'm telling you, this guy, I don't know. And remember, I'm always telling everybody, when it comes to your money and you want to invest, you can't fall in love with a brand. You can't fall in love with a company. And you definitely should not become anybody's fanboy or fangirl, because you could potentially lose everything. Right now, there are people that are obviously, I mean, I don't need to tell you, but you already know, Trump has his own social media platform. And you already know he's got tons of people that absolutely adore this man and will go all out and even buy shares of his social media platform, DJT. While the stock was going up, people were getting excited. This is it. This guy's the best businessman ever, which he isn't. He's actually the worst. And people went all in. There were people that went and did everything. They dug in their pockets. They pulled out their last few change, tossed the lint to the side, and went and used that change to get as much as they could together so that they can buy shares of DJT. While it was going up, I'm pretty sure that there were some people that experienced FOMO, fear of missing out. They experienced it. Now, I already showcased one very important detail in their company's information. I highlighted the fact that there was only like 1% of institutional investors that invested in DJT. That's horrible. That means that 99% of the institutional investors, the big shots, the ones with the big money, Merrill Lynch, Buffett, Icahn, some hedge funds, 99% of these people are not touching the stock. That was a warning right there to everybody who had any interest, but the vast majority of the people that came in and bought some shares were probably people who had no experience investing in the stock market. But that's fine. What isn't fine is that all these people that bought at the top of the price that it was are now experiencing a 74% loss. Imagine you take $1,000 and you invest it, and within 6 months it's down to $360 or something like that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would feel terrible because of that. Absolutely terrible. And I'm pretty sure it's going to go down even lower. Now, here's the thing. There's something called a lockout. So when the corporation goes public, some people are issued stocks, and you got to wait for the lockout period to end. It could be 90 days, 60 days, whatever it is, but you got to wait for the lockout period in order for you to sell your stock. So imagine if somebody gives you $1 million worth of stock. This is your cut. We're going public. And once we go public, the shares go up in price, and now it's at $1 million a share, or rather, you're worth $1 million now because of these stocks. You can't sell them. It might not have been worth $1 million when you first got the stock. It might have been worth $200,000, but now it's worth $1 million. But you haven't hit the lockout. You haven't gotten to the lockout. You can't sell. You gotta hold on. Now all of a sudden your $1 million value goes down below the original amount that it was worth when they gave it to you, which was $200,000. Now it's at $150,000. How would you feel? How would you feel if you were in a company that was private and the owners of the company says, hey, because all y'all participated in the development of this company, the growth of this company, here, I'm gonna bless you with $200,000 worth of stock. Getting blessed with $200,000 worth of stock is a good feel. And then when you're checking the price of the stock, it's going up and up and up. Now you're worth $1 million. Woo! But the Securities and Exchange Commission looked into that thing and said, wait a minute, hold on. What's going on here? What is this? What is this? There's some stuff in here that you told the investors and the potential investors. There's some stuff in here that ain't mathin'. Something ain't right. Y'all better fix this. And then the dude that they chose to fix it or to look into it or to investigate it turns out to be a fraudster. Bottom line is this. Trump needs that money, but he can't sell. He's got to wait for the lockout. It's sometime around the end of the month, this month. He needs that money. He's got all these legal problems. He's got this one legal bill that's $500 million. He needs that money. It's already been reported he's been taking campaign money to pay for his lawyers, which he ain't supposed to be doing, but he's doing it anyway. He's in desperate need of money. Now, again, right now, the stock is sitting below its opening price. The opening price from when they first came out on the market. It is below that price. And things are looking grim because there's some shareholders that are so scared they actually filed a lawsuit against DJT so that the courts give them special permission to dump their stocks, because it's devaluing to the point, and these shareholders believe that nothing is really being done to correct this. It's business as usual, and it's bad business as usual. And nobody's doing anything to correct this. And they're saying, you know, let us out, please. Let us dump. Now, what's going to happen is if the court gives them permission to do that, that's going to drive the price down even lower. And then when it's Trump's turn, he ain't gonna have a whole hell of a lot, but there's a good chance he's gonna dump all his shares, and all these working class people that and you know, that's on them. But all these working class people that scraped up whatever they could, because many of these people confessed that they were buying these shares to help him. And if that lockout period opens up, if these people that are begging the courts to let them unload their shares, plus Trump selling off his to exchange for cash, that stock can have a total collapse. Total collapse. Don't fall in love with a brand. Don't fall in love with a company. And don't be a fanboy or fangirl, because you can get hurt and get hurt real bad. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go with that. Remember, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. Folks, stay fresh, keep it profitable, and me and Kitty are gonna be out. Arabam Dacia, seviyorum çift kalem aça. Göremedik kimseden fayda. İşler